You're live.
Hey everyone, my name is Christina Himyab. I live in Los Angeles, California, and I make model kits and some masks. I mostly have been in the mask business for the longest time, but I just recently got into model kit making and just sculpting it at a smaller scale for resin casting. And I am originally from San Jose, Costa Rica, and I moved to the States when I was around 10 or 11, and I lived the majority of the time in Columbus, Ohio. I graduated from the Ohio State University, and I moved here to pursue a career in special effects makeup in about 2012.
Rusty says hi.
Hey, Rusty!
And John Eubank is watching.
Oh, hello! Cool. Yeah, so I'm just going to show you some of the stuff that I've made over the years, and we'll see how it goes. So the first model kit, or I guess small scale sculpture that I made with the intention of casting it out of resin is this little guy right here. It's pretty, it's kind of a rudimentary sculpture, but his name is Gil, and he is foam filled. I painted him up. I only painted 2 of these, and I think that I sculpted it probably, I'm assuming over 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, I think it was like 2015 or 14, I think. So yeah, he's mostly airbrushed, and
Tiago says hi from Brazil.
oh, hi! Who?
Tiago.
Diago. Hi, Diago.
Tiago.
Tiago. Nice.
And John Eubank's in.
Hi, John. How's everybody going? Thank you for joining me today. I'm really nervous, but we'll just see how it goes, I guess.
Anyway.
So yeah, so there's the Gil. Then the second thing that I
Is that still available for purchase?
Oh yeah,
Do you still
this
have the
is
mold?
dirt cheap. I basically, I'll just ship it to you if you want it. I think I'm charging on my Etsy store, which is Monster Party Studio. That's the name of the store. I think I charged $25 for it shipped. So it doesn't come with a base, so you'll have to add the base. But yeah, if you're just starting out and you just want to mess around with some paint and see where it takes you, and maybe try to get into it with something roughly cheap but a pretty good size.
Yeah, that's
I
about
think this is
10, 11 inches.
Measure. Yeah, let me grab the tape measure. This is just for you. This is perfect. So that's how big that is.
What is that, about 8?
It's like
8 inches?
9, 8 and a half.
Just about, yeah.
8 and a half, yeah. So I'll just keep this handy. I'll grab my beer. So there's Gil. I'm going to put him back. Now the
Nice.
second thing that I sculpted with the intention of turning it into a model kit but never did is this thing right here. So this is I don't know if anybody would recognize it, but originally it was meant to be a Dianoga monster, or Dianoga. I'm not really sure on the pronunciation, but it's the garbage disposal monster in Star Wars, or another version of it, and it comes with like a little eyelid. I still have the mold. I haven't really done anything with it. I don't really sell it. This is the only copy that I have, but I think maybe one day I'll paint it up and possibly turn it into something. But after I sculpted this, I sort of abandoned model kits for a while, or sculpting at that scale, and just continued with masks. And all of these are mine, with the exception of this one here. That is an original Phil Tippett sculpture. It is a Cantina alien. I believe his name is Duros. That's the race of the alien. And I painted that recently. My fiance, Michael Bryan, who's doing the camera work, got that for me for my birthday a little while ago. So, what else? Okay, probably the thing that I did afterwards. This is a Forlom helmet, and Forlom is a protocol droid bounty hunter from Star Wars again. I don't know if you can tell I'm a fan.
That's also resin,
It's
right?
resin, yeah. I don't make this anymore. The mold kind of crapped out, and this is the last copy I made. I might make another mold in the future, but that's sort of in the progression of the resin story
Nice.
of my life. Yeah, so let's talk about some of these smaller things right over here.
Yeah.
I've got this skull, which is actually sculpted using this skull as a reference. This is from the Skull Shop. This guy that molds a lot of actual skulls, and he sells them really cheap, and they're great reference to use. And so this is the sculpture that I created from this reference. And I've since bought other little skulls from him. They're just really good reference to have around. I have a little kid's skull. I don't know if that's eerie, but and then a little tiny baby skull.
Nice.
All for the sake of reference.
Yeah, so tell us about your skull.
Yeah, so the skull was just a study that I did originally to just learn anatomy, and now I sell painted copies and blanks. I also made a planter. I don't have it out, but I basically hollowed it out, and you can grow plants out of it. So the unpainted version, it's on my Etsy, and it is $55 shipped. So with the shipping included is what I mean by that.
Yes, they're all resin. Tiago's asking.
Yeah, they're all resin. And I don't remember if I have these listed on my Etsy, but I might. But yeah, if you just want to have a the larger skull that I bought is at around, I think it's like $120. And if you want to have an anatomical reference, but you don't want to spring for that price, I think a smaller skull is like a great way to go. So yeah, if you're studying anatomy and you want to start sculpting, these are a good option.
Rusty said those are really cool.
Oh, thanks.
And Tiago says thanks.
Awesome.
So those are available on your Etsy, right?
Those are all available on my Etsy.
What is the scale of the skulls, Peter wants to
I
know.
think that these are half scale.
Yeah,
I think
maybe
roughly,
a little larger.
maybe slightly bigger
Yeah,
than half scale.
there's a reference, a scale reference.
So I'll put this guy back.
Skull scale.
Skull scale.
So you sell them painted as well as raw?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
And you do bronze finish if you want it?
Bronze,
the faux bronze?
and the
Natural.
natural, realistic
Cool.
color.
Let's
on
see.
both of
Let's
those.
see the side of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of getting shot. Cool.
So
Shannon wants to know if you sculpted those.
I did. I did. And I sculpted them as a means to just learn anatomy. It was a really great exercise to get a good idea of where things go on the face, how far away the ears are from, perhaps the eyes, and how big the teeth are in relation to the rest of the face. All of those proportions sometimes are difficult to understand when you're just winging it, and so seeing it and sculpting it is a good way to really cement it into your brain. So
Norbert's asking for your Etsy store name.
oh, it's Monster Party Studio. Yeah, so if you go etsy.com/shop/Monster Party Studio, that's how you can find it.
And don't you have like a weird O? Is your O is a zero or something?
No.
You
Actually,
fixed it?
yeah, I fixed it. So
Okay.
you can change the name on your. Originally, it was like a weird name because I couldn't. I think somebody owned a Monster Party, but then I just went with Monster Party Studio, and it worked.
So Rusty's asking what your favorite type of clay is, or if you do digital designs.
Oh no, so I don't. I tried learning ZBrush, and I just haven't really spent a lot of time doing that. Everything that I do is hand sculpted traditionally, and I use primarily for model kits at least, or for small scale sculptures, just Chavant NSP medium. So it's NSP's non-sulfurated plasticine or plastiline. That's in the medium grade of softness.
Did you do any of these with Monster Clay?
The Dianoga.
You did the Dianoga
Yeah.
and Monster Clay.
Yeah, in Monster Clay. But everything else has been... Oh, and then the Forlum, I did it in water-based clay. I used wet clay.
Oh, that
for
was wet clay, yeah, because it's a
Yeah.
larger piece.
Yeah, and all of the larger pieces have been sculpted in wet, just because it's cheap and really fast to block out, and they're pretty easy to use. So.
Shannon says, such attention to the small nuances of a skull. Great work.
Oh wow! Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for feeding me all the.
Yeah, I
info,
hope it's
too.
not a problem that I'm speaking behind the camera.
No.
So
This is Mike O'Brien, by the way.
Norbert just posted your your link on there for everybody. Thank you, Norbert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, let me know if I have lipstick on my teeth.
You're good. You're
Okay.
good.
Okay.
So what do you got? What got next?
So
What's next?
I can show you guys.
Was it the?
the
What did you? Are you going in order, like chronological order, or no?
Yeah, I think so. I think I did the chimp afterwards. Well, I sculpted the zombie and the chimp sort of simultaneously.
Okay.
But I'll just go with the chimp right now.
Yeah.
So I'll show you what it looks like.
Rusty said, "Nice to see a traditionalist still around."
Oh yay! Yeah.
We still
It
exist.
feels like that so many people are sculpting in ZBrush, and we might give it a try, but there's nothing like just getting your hands on some clay, and it's a lot harder.
Alan says, "Great work."
Thank you.
And Bob says, "That's a seriously amazing collection of Star Wars alien busts. I'm jealous." And
Yeah.
Rusty loves your chimp.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, you have one actually.
Yeah.
So I just started out sculpting Star Wars stuff, to be honest. That's how I got interested in it. I have 2 bits over there. I don't know if you want to see.
Pete says he loves the Jack Skellington.
Oh, awesome.
Let's take a look at it. And then Daniel says he'd love to see your process, especially with traditional methods.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
yeah, those are the bits, and there's the Jack Skellington. That's a mask. It's a latex mask. Sorry.
No, please.
What are these guys?
So those guys are just little things that I sculpted when I first started out. I would paint them and put them on little plaques and just have them out for Halloween. I think I sculpted those in like 2012, maybe.
Nice.
But those are all just latex and polyfoam.
Nice.
Yeah, I started out sculpting a lot of Star Wars stuff. You start with what inspires you.
Mm-hmm.
And I did an Admiral Akbar, I did a Greedo, a Ponda Baba. I even sculpted a Dr. Evazan once, and it was just a terrible sculpture, so I didn't do anything with it.
It was
but,
cool.
So the chimp, Rusty has one of these. I cut off the base because I think I prefer it without it. So now when I sell them without the base. I just sort of chop this down. And I painted this guy not too long ago, actually. I painted it probably a month ago, just, being bored during quarantine. And it is, I did a wash of, I believe, like a sepia with some medium, glazing medium, I think. And so that it really stuck on there. And then I cleaned it off. And that sort of gave me a roadmap to finish the rest of it. And I airbrushed, for the most part, the rest. There's some detail painting with like a tiny paintbrush in some areas, and then the eyes are just with a paintbrush. It's too tiny to paint. It was really hard. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, and it's a good way to practice realism. Which I think is important when you want to sculpt or paint anything, to try to look at things that have a lot of realism So I used a lot of reference for this, but
Nice.
yeah. So there's this guy. He
Pete-
doesn't really have a name.
I'm sorry.
but- go ahead.
Pete asks, my daughter is a senior in studio arts at uni and, I lost the question, wants to get, and I'm backing up, and is
Okay.
interested in this type of work. Any advice or suggestions?
Um,
At UNT, sorry,
At
that's UNT.
Well, I think I went to art school, and I don't know if I really advise it. I mean, I guess as a parent, you want to advise your kids to go to school, right? But I think just practicing. I think looking at a lot of reference, probably the number one thing that I would recommend, especially as a novice, is looking at as much reference as you possibly can from real life to sculpt and to paint anything. Just because if it doesn't look like it belongs in the real world, then you're not really going to convince anybody. So even if it's a fantastical design, even if it's sci-fi or like a creature that doesn't actually exist, if you're looking at animal references and just things that belong in the real world, I think that could really push your art further. And just, I guess, have people that you look up to and ask them questions, possibly. If you have like a group of people that you really admire, look at their work and try to perhaps get in touch with them and ask them relevant questions about their process, and just practice a lot.
Cool.
So,
Bob's signing off. He said stay safe and stay healthy. Excellent video and thank you.
thanks, Bob. Take it easy.
He's going to bed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's kind of late over there, isn't it?
It is,
It's like
yeah.
9.
9
Yeah, so it's 6:20 over here.
Kristen tuned in.
Hi, Kristen. So then,
And then also Shannon says that chimp is my favorite she's shown so far.
oh, awesome.
And Jules says love that chimp.
That's really cool. Thank you, Jules. Thanks, guys. The next thing I wanted to show you was the zombie.
Yeah, let's see the zombie.
So the zombie was really just sculpted originally to do an anatomical study of a man, of a full head and shoulders and just I really wanted to try to get some of the forms down. But I also, having a commercial mind, I wanted to be able to sell it if I liked it and not just use it as a study. So I turned him into a zombie. And I painted him again. I painted him at the same time that I painted the chimp. And right now I'm actually sculpting a companion for him, making him a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And she's over here.
Tiago says awesome.
Who?
Awesome. Tiago says awesome.
Thanks, Tiago.
And Rusty says he has that one too.
Yeah, he does. I look forward to seeing what you do with it.
Jules says that clavicle is sick.
On this guy or this guy? I guess probably this guy.
Maybe, I'm not sure
Thank
yet.
you.
We'll see if she chimes in. John says one of the best zombies out there.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, John.
John has that one. He
Yeah,
did a
he
fabulous
painted-
paint job.
Yeah, an amazing paint job. It was really cool. He brought it to one of the meetings.
Yeah.
And showed it as
The
a
first
show.
one.
I was so proud.
This
yeah,
one.
this one.
Yeah. Sick.
So yeah, so she's gonna be.
Yeah, let's look at the new one.
She's gonna
Work in
have more
progress.
skin. It's a work in progress. She's sort of hunched over, so her chest is kind of caved in, and her shoulders are supposed to be pushed outward. And I wanted her to have like a rotting Y incision, kind of a open chest. But I decided to sculpt her skeleton first, and then add the flesh later. Originally, I added the flesh and I tried to sculpt the ribs, but they just weren't working right. They weren't set in correctly, so then I just stripped her down, and then I sculpted her chest like that.
Thank God.
So hopefully she'll be done, I'm not sure, relatively soon. And this is again with Chevron.
That's NSP medium, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah.
is an oil clay that doesn't dry out.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So you could reuse this clay over and over.
You could, yeah. You can melt it down, chop it up, melt it down, which is what we do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We have a little oven in here.
It won't dry out, so it's good.
Yeah.
Questions. Hang on.
Yeah.
Let me back up the scroll here.
I'll just drink some beer.
Shannon says you can not only can you really sculpt, but your paint is impeccable too.
Thank you.
Oh, he says
Thank
makes
you
me
so
ashamed
much.
to call myself a sculptor. Nonsense.
What? That's crazy. No way.
And then Daniel says, so that started out as an anatomical study. How did you decide what to take out of the zombie as gouges, and how far did you do it, and how did you do it?
That's a really good question. He doesn't have a lot of zombie in him, to be honest. I mean, I sculpted him as a regular man, and then I made him sunken in afterwards, and then I just I gave him this slack jaw, and with honestly with my sculpting tool, I just sort of gouged out parts of his body to make him more ghoulish.
Just to reveal what's under.
He doesn't. I mean, and you can see his shoulder blades here.
Yeah, he's kind of emaciated.
He's emaciated. So I was really more interested in like the musculature, the skeleton underneath, and then at the end I took out pieces to make him a zombie, but he's still got a lot of meat on him. So
yeah, turkey.
That is a really good question.
Turkey's on.
Hey, what's up, Turkey? It's good to see you virtually. This weird.
Yeah, so
Corona
let
space.
me back up and make sure I'm not missing anything.
Okay.
Rusty says, "Yep, gonna get that one too."
This guy?
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think so.
I guess I'll have to finish him fast.
Greg says, "Have you ever considered sculpting any of the Doctor Who characters and creatures? Your work is incredible."
Thank you. I haven't seen any Doctor Who. I want to.
Today, she means today. Today.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into it yet. I haven't gotten into that, and that's another thing that I want to get into is that and Harry Potter. I've never gotten into it. I think Doctor Who is a definite future, especially now that we're sort of just sitting around. I need something to watch.
Yeah, there's so many seasons.
Yeah. Should you like old or new? I don't know.
Yeah, what do you think? Any suggestions?
Any suggestions? Yeah.
Norbert says, "Don't forget that Frankenstein head."
Oh yeah.
And then let's see. I'm sorry, I'm scrolling.
Well, that's okay.
Kevin says, "Yo,
What's up?
Merc." And then the washes on that. Shannon says the washes on that zombie really bring out the texture she sculpted. Nice.
Oh, thank you.
And
Thank you
then-
so much. Mostly airbrush, I think, with that one too. A lot of modeling
Yeah.
with
And,
like really light tones too.
Yeah. I mean, did you use? I'm sorry. Did you say you used airbrush on that?
Yeah. So for both the chimp and the zombie, I use acrylex paints, and I thin them down to where they're just like translucent, super translucent. And then I mainly go in with like different variations of red, and then purple, and then at the very end I do greens and blues, and then I go in with like detailed, harsher tones to really bring out certain parts, like the sunken parts and everything. But
Yeah.
At the very beginning it's mostly modeling, and it's mostly really translucent,
You
so
don't-
that you can't really see.
Have you done any? I don't think you've really done any spattering on that, have you? This guy? Do you do any spatter techniques ever?
On him, I think not as much.
Not this one, 'cause
just
it's smaller
he's
scale.
so small.
Yeah, it doesn't show properly.
Yeah, but like on masks, I'll do a lot of spattering.
Yeah.
And same of just like reds and purples at first, and then yellows and greens.
Yeah.
So the
Do you
Frankie.
want to show the Frankie? Yeah.
Yeah, there's like hair all over the table.
Turkey says he missed hanging out with us this year.
I know. It's one of my highlights. One of the highlights is hanging out with him.
And Norbert's putting your post up for your Etsy constantly. Thank you,
cool.
Norbert.
Thank you. Hope I make some sales.
Yeah.
So this is a planter. This is a Frankie planter. I sculpted right at the beginning of our quarantine.
Sorry.
And maybe I should put him on this lazy Susan.
Yeah, you could spin them around.
Yeah. Yeah, so here he is. I sculpted him as a planter because I really like, I should mention this. There is another person who does a lot of resin, and his name is Neil, and he had a table at Monsterpalooza next to us, and he puts plants in all of his sculptures, and I thought, wow, what a great idea. That's, that's so cool. I love indoor plants. I love sculptures, and so I gave it a try. So I think it was you who suggested doing a Frankenstein because of the flat top, right?
Yeah, because you already did the skull on your own, and then since it was obvious there was a flat, I was like, Frankenstein would work for that. Wow.
Yeah.
And it
I think I
came
have
out
the
great.
sculpture. Let me go grab it.
Okay. And this is also resin. This is the same scale as the skull, so they all are kind of like a little family.
Yeah.
There's the original.
Yeah, this is the original.
That's
I mean,
the
it
sculpture.
got screwed up from the mold making process.
It survived
but-
pretty decently, though,
Yeah,
considering.
it's just a little bit.
And that's sculpted out of Chavant as well.
And I sculpted this. I sculpted this on top of a skull. So I grabbed.
Oh yeah, you used your skull as a skull.
Exactly. So that's another fun thing about the skull. Something else that's really useful is that I wedged some eye forms inside of the ocular cavities, and I just sculpted a face, and all of the landmarks were there already. So it took a lot of the guesswork out of it. So that's another reason why these skulls are so useful if you want to sculpt a portrait or something, a bust, this size. This is a good way to figure things out without having to do a lot of calipering. Although you still should, it's good to have that knowledge.
But if you wanted to just bust out some kind of
if
character
you just
really
wanna
quick,
rough it out real
and you
quick,
just
if you
wanted
wanna
to
make a zombie,
use less
and
clay that way.
Yeah, it's a good way to start a sculpture.
Yeah.
So
Let me back up and see if there are questions here. So Greg had answered about newer Doctor Who from 1995 onward. There are a lot of creatures from these years that would make great busts.
cool. Okay.
And then Pete said there's the stretched skin character Cassandra from Doctor Who. And he put a link up. We'll have to check that one out.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with that
I'm
one.
not either.
Shannon says great Karloff likeness.
Thank you. I used Miles Tevis's like one-to-one bust.
Oh, yeah,
that we
yeah.
have, as my
3D reference.
reference. Yeah,
Yeah.
I took a bunch of pictures and I brought them in here, and I just used those. So.
Rusty said love it.
Thanks, Rusty.
Kevin said, Turkey said the planner's killer, beautiful sculpt and paint.
Thank you so much.
He said good seeing you.
It's great
Hope you'll
hearing
be
from
well.
you.
Joe says that's awesome. Jules said it may be a cool brush holder.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Actually, somebody that bought it, our friend Noah, he bought a.
Shannon says
frame.
goodbye.
Oh,
He's
bye,
got to go.
Shannon.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you. Thank you for stopping in.
Sorry, I keep interrupting.
No, that's okay.
So yeah, no.
Yeah, so our friend bought one, and he's using it as a sculpting tool holder, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I mean, basically, it's just a receptacle. You put any kind of tools
Yeah,
in
you put
it,
your
or
candy
paintbrush,
in there, your
candy.
quarters, laundry
Yeah,
money,
fingers.
snacks,
Yeah.
all at once. So, and then I guess I have a couple things.
Jules is asking, have you sculpted a Grand Moff Tarkin?
I haven't, but Georgiou has a really awesome one, and I am a little afraid of even giving it a try because his Peter Cushing is just incredible. Anyway, so
Rusty says he's heading out, but it was great to see your
great
work
seeing
and your
you
workshop.
too.
He'll be in
Thank
contact
you.
soon.
Oh, that'd be great.
Thanks
Have a great
for
night.
doing the video and all of us at Resin Maniacs. Take care.
Aw,
All right.
awesome.
See you, Rusty.
Bye, Rusty.
Cool.
Yeah. So the last two things that I wanted to show you.
Yeah, what else you got in
is
the
like
on the
this-
bench?
Well, these aren't really model kits, but I might as well just show them to you because they
Sure.
are resin. So this right here is a portrait I did as another study, and this is Brigetta Helm from Metropolis as Evil Maria. I don't know if anyone is familiar with that movie, but it's fantastic. It is extremely old, but but if you're interested in seeing it, it is available on YouTube. I think there's several versions of it. It's a Fritz Lang film. It's black and white. It's a silent movie, and it's where a lot of people are actually familiar with the robot in the movie that she turns into, or that she is cloned from, really. So this is after the robot scene happens, and you see the reveal. She turns into that character, and I think she's like tearing at her clothes in this particular scene. So it's a pretty iconic shot, and I really love that movie. So this is my tribute piece to her and to that film. So I just wanted to show you guys this piece just because it's, it's close to my heart. It's not really a zombie or anything crazy, but
Antonia says you're fantastic.
thank you.
And Norbert says, love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's cool.
So
It's
she's a
more
bronze.
along the lines of like a
It's
portrait
like
stature,
it's just
yeah.
a portrait of
Very neat.
Bridgetta Helm.
Very cool. Let's get another look at it.
And she has sort of a...
That's when she's tearing at her gown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great moment in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Very iconic scene. It's cool. That's a pretty big piece too. That's probably like
Yeah.
13 inches, 14 inches, 12.
13?
Yeah.
Yeah, 13
Right.
inches. Yeah, nice.
Eyes are good.
Yeah, good job. And then the last thing I wanted to show you is something that I'm just currently working on.
Oh yeah, this.
Which is this piece over here.
Where you want me?
Anywhere you want. Yeah. So, this piece just sort of popped into my mind. I've been wanting to sculpt a woman with wings for a long time, but a hybrid, half bird, half female statue, and she will have a bird, half bird, half human face, and I think that they'll have feathers all throughout. But I'm just really excited about this piece just because I've never sculpted anything, a full figure before, and this is also another good way to do a female study and a bird study at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that I've got a picture of the reference here somewhere. But I've been looking at a lot of photos of dancers lately just to get a good idea of what pose I wanted to do.
Sorry, I'm moving around. Daniel likes the texture on your wings.
Oh, I'm just roughing them in, but
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, I sort of just rough them in, and I use a rake to refine the forms and to make everything sort of flat so I can start putting in all the shapes. But that's a very preliminary block out.
And that's probably like got a 14-inch long wings, maybe?
Yeah, they're pretty big. Let me see.
Back, sweeping back. It's a pretty big piece, yeah. Now let me step over here.
So
12 inches, yeah, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
12 by maybe 14 tall, 16.
She's 18
Oh,
inches
boy.
tall.
And you're going to offer that as a resin piece?
Yeah, I think so. I think she'll be a lot more elaborate and a lot more finished, and I will be offering it as a resin piece. I think she might even come with a base. I'm
Nice.
not really sure. I just started it, so there's a lot of unknowns still with her, but I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice one.
So, go for it.
What else do you have after this that you're planning to do? Any sneak peek ideas you can give us? Like anything else that you're planning to sculpt for resin kits? Do you have any wants? Any
Yeah, I think so.
any urges?
I know it sounds silly, but I want to do more of the planters.
Oh yeah.
They were fun. It was really fun to sculpt the Frankie. but for some reason I've been sculpting zombies in resin, so maybe I should look into those Doctor Who characters.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and give those a try.
definitely.
But yeah, so this is actually, so this is our garage.
I'm looking at your. Is that kind of like your Saucer Man mask? Is that that's your take on the Saucer Man?
Yeah.
This guy, the big guy
right
up there,
here.
just in case anybody's wondering.
Yeah, so this is my take on a saucer man. It's slightly different.
It's pretty big.
That's why it's so big, because those guys are huge.
Yeah.
But this guy's foam filled.
This would be neat as a kit too.
Yeah, it would be. Maybe I should
Should,
do something like that.
You could turn all your masks into kit lines. Your original versions.
Possibly. I think that's a
Somebody's
good idea.
Julie said the mummy. You should do the mummy.
I mean, I should, because I already have I already have boards.
I think we talked about the mummy.
We did. So I think that is a really good idea.
You could even do like a Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
Or Dracula, Wolfman.
Maybe.
You could do all the Universals.
Yeah. So do you want to say anything?
Hi. I'm trying to get to your questions here.
Okay.
Any Dragon Slayer arcade game figures in the future? Pete's asking.
Slayer arcade games.
Because your shirt.
Right. I'm thinking, it'd be really awesome to do any other Don Bluth characters. Like anything from Space Ace, because it's more sci-fi. I would love to do something from that game. But yeah, thank you. I thought my hair was sufficiently covering everything up, but
No.
I haven't had a haircut in ages.
Norbert says werewolf. I hope this fan isn't killing the
As an
sound
idea,
in here. Yeah, he said do a werewolf for the planter, I
should.
guess.
Oh yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah, or maybe a kit. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
What's going on with
that
my
would be. I
thing?
have a werewolf mask, but I've only actually made one out of that mold.
Oh.
So maybe I should do a werewolf as a kid. I think that would be a lot more fun too, because masks, in order to sell, you have to seam it and paint it and do all this work, and resins. I mean, you still have a lot of work to do, but somebody else gets to take your art and make it theirs, which is great. So I think that I'm slowly transitioning, it seems.
Do you want to go down the list and give your prices out for anybody who's
Sure,
watching, so that
if I
they
can
know,
remember.
so they can know, or am I hitting you off
No,
base? Do you know your prices?
not at all.
That way, just so they know, before they go to the store, or they know that these are all available.
So this guy, I think, okay, so this and the skull, I believe, are the same price. I believe they're 50 or 55 shipped. And that's blanks, right?
Yeah, unpainted.
Unpainted.
That's shipping included?
Shipping included,
Okay.
yeah. The Frankie, the blank is, I think, 95 shipped.
Okay.
Gil is 25 shipped. And the ape is 40 shipped.
Nice. And they're all on your Monster Party Studio Etsy store, which is
are.
live right now.
Yeah, if anybody is interested, they are there. And yeah, if you buy something and you paint it, you gotta show me. I gotta see it.
Yeah, definitely. Daniel says Dirk is really the only Dragon Slayer character people recognize, but Space Ace has a lot of recognizable characters.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great game. I mean, they're all great games, and the animation is beautiful. But Space Ace, I need to get a Space Ace t-shirt.
John Eubank says your take on the Bride of Frankenstein would be
I
cool.
thought about that.
That would be like a tall planter because of the hair.
Would the plant be at the very back of the head?
Probably,
or
yeah.
like right in the middle.
Maybe at the top, and then
Maybe
you could
two
get like
different holes.
donkey tails so they drape down over her hair.
Oh,
Yeah. Jules says thanks for doing this. It's been fun.
Thank you guys for stopping by.
Yeah,
And
and-
thank you for, hanging out in my shop.
And Pete says the doctor from Nightmare Before Christmas would make a good planter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
In the chair.
yeah, what's his name?
Dr. Finkelstein. That's 3 times today.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah,
or
that's a
whatever.
great
I'm
idea.
getting all of my quotes all screwed up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's it. This is my stuff. stuff. Thanks for stopping by.
Right on.
And my voice is breaking, but
His head opens in the movie. That's true. So you could have it.
Oh yeah.
The cranium
because he
dish
splits his
open.
brain
Yeah.
with his mate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. At one point.
At the
But
very
he opens it to scratch his brain at one point.
Yeah,
Remember
yeah,
that?
that's right.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah, thanks. I'm glad I did this. I'm not as nervous as I was in the beginning, but still a little bit. So,
Nah, it's great.
Yeah. Anyway.
Cool.
Hope you guys have a great weekend at WantaFest.
Any more questions? Anybody? Wow.
No?
I don't know.
Okay.
We don't have to wait around for them.
All right.
But
Well,
any more information? Your Etsy is Monster Party Studio.
Monster Party Studio. My Instagram is Christina Himyob. So that's ChristinahImiob. It's kind of a hard last name, but so that's my Instagram. And
Facebook.
Yeah,
Facebook.
I am on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook a lot. But
Instagram's
I am
the place.
But Instagram is the place. That is
Cool.
correct. So if you have any questions, just hit me up. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Right on. Daniel says thanks.
Thank you. You guys have a
Cool.
great night.
Alrighty, signing off. John says, hope to see you both soon. John Eubank.
Likewise.
Yes, John. We hope to see you guys really soon. Alrighty. Well, take care. Norbert says
Cheers.
thank you. Have a good one, everybody.